Welcome to CTV News Trendline with Michael Stittle and Nick Nanos.
Nick, another big theme of the past year for our show has been the cost of living crisis, inflation, how Canadians feel about the economy. And in this holiday period, how do Canadians feel about their spending?
I don't know. We're going to get Grinch, Scrooge. I don't know. Dour, sour. Number of words. We ask Canadians about their holiday spending, whether they be spending more or less compared to a year ago. So for those 1 in 20 Canadians, or about 4%, say, hey, I'm going to be spending more this holiday season compared to last year. But check out the proportion of people that say that they're going to spend less. 54% of Canadians say that they're going to be spending less. That's like 13 times more likely to spend less than more. But the kicker is the trend line compared to last year. About 43% of Canadians said that they're going to spend less. And you can see that that's basically up 9 points over the last year. So belt tightening, Michael, belt tightening, that people are going to be spending less overall. What's interesting is that when we unpacked what they're going to be spending less on, it looks like one of the things that's kind of a wash is food at home. They'll probably be spending about the same, because I think it's like 23% more are going to spend more food at home, on food at home, 27% less, and the rest about the same. So about that. But wow, look at the numbers for gifts and going out. 4% more, 53% less for gifts. And so I don't know what that means for you, Michael. Probably for me, I'm going to get less under the tree to past holiday seasons, and even just going out. I can think the key takeaway here is that only about 1 out of every 20 people are reporting that they will be spending more on gifts and more on going out for social occasions this holiday season. And that, people are like 12 to 13 times more likely to say that they're going to trim their budget for spending on gifts and going out, but that the food at home is okay. So we'll be at home with our families. We'll be having our holiday meals. Those holiday meals will be as good as they were last year. But in terms of going out and spending on gifts, much more likely to be trimming the budget this year compared to last holiday season.
Nick, we're seeing, or we're being told, that there are indications that inflation is slowing here and south of the border in the US. But it seems like the mood overall for Canadians is still, as you said, one of belt tightening. What's the overall mood? How do you take it?
Well, it's I think people are worried about 2024 and what might happen in the economy. When we ask Canadians, when we ask them about, inflation and whether it's had an impact on major and minor purchases and stuff like that. Back in March 2022, when we asked that question, about half of Canadians, or about 48%, if I recall correctly, said that inflation, I want to say inflation. No, I guess it doesn't work. Anyways, inflation wouldn't have an impact on them. So about half of Canadians said back in 2022, March, that it wouldn't have an impact. That has dropped to 34%, which means now a majority of Canadians say that inflation is a problem and it's having a materially negative impact on their spending, whether it's for major items or other types of items. And you know what, Michael, the other thing is people are still worried about paying for housing significantly. About 1 out of every 3 Canadians are worried or somewhat worried about paying for housing in the next 30 days. And you know what? That 33% number or thereabouts jumps up to 47% if you happen to be under 35 years of age, which speaks to the situation where young people are just, probably not going out as much, staying in, but also more likely to be worried about, hey, how am I going to pay for housing in the next 30 days? So pretty dour and worried. We have a significant proportion of Canadians who are just outright worried about inflation and paying for housing.
Nick, as we look forward to the year 2024, I'm going to really put you on the spot here. What's your big takeaway for the incoming year?
My big takeaway is watch out for the economy and the performance of the economy. That's going to have a material impact on how people feel about the government, the Liberal government in Ottawa, and potentially also Pierre Poilievre. So if the economy is flat or we have a mild recession, we're probably going to see a continuation of this trend because people will just be struggling to pay for the bills and they'll be very frustrated and they'll be looking for someone to blame and to punish. And the government of the day is usually at the very top of the list of targets when Canadians are feeling grumpy. So if we see a continuation of worry about paying for housing, if we see a continuation of people cutting back on spending, that'll be bad news for the Liberals. Conversely, that will likely be good news for the Conservatives because they will be tapping into, and you know what, whether you love or don't like Pierre Poilievre, he's been focusing on this cost of living stuff and affordability. It's the right thing that Canadians want to hear about at the right time. So watch out for the economy. If the economy does better in 2024, that will be a lifeline to the Justin Trudeau Liberals.